Hi everyone, I'm Mark Ames. Welcome to 5 on the Frontline, produced by AIHA. When you enjoy a meal, have you ever wondered where it came from? There's a good chance that at some point farm workers were involved. Many of those same vulnerable farm workers who help you enjoy your meals face a threat that we should all be aware of: exposure to wildfire smoke. Our guest today is Estella Cisneros. Estella is the legal director of the Agricultural Worker Program for California Rural Legal Assistance, where she oversees the organization's statewide work with agricultural workers, which includes farm workers, as well as those employed in dairies, packing houses, nurseries, and meat and poultry processing operations, such as meat packing plants. She's based in Fresno, California. Welcome to the show, Estella.
Thank you, Mark.
Estella, I've got 3 quick questions for you. To start, help us understand how farm workers in California are being impacted by wildfire smoke. Next, why are farm workers particularly vulnerable? And last, what protections are currently in place for farm workers? And I'll sneak in a fourth if I can. What else is needed to protect farm workers?
So right now, farm workers in California continue to face a triple threat that comes from not just wildfire smoke, but also increased exposure to COVID-19 as well as heat stress. So right now, farm workers who are working in the fields each day could be exposed to wildfire smoke. Now, there's 2 different sets of farm workers that could be affected. One is a set of farm workers that live in areas that are being evacuated. But then there's also a much larger group of farm workers that live in areas that are not being evacuated, are not geographically that close to wildfires, but for environmental and sort of other geographical reasons, they are exposed to the particulate matter that is harmful in wildfire smoke because it has reached the area that they work in, even if it's not next door or next to an evacuation zone or a wildfire. That definitely covers a much larger group of farm workers. And so without adequate protections, farm workers are literally unable to perform their job unless they have sufficient protections in order to protect them from inhaling wildfire smoke.
And so what protections are currently in place to protect those vulnerable farm workers right now?
So California has an emergency regulation that is in effect through January of 2021. The emergency regulation requires employers to provide free of cost particulate respirator masks that protect employees from inhaling particulate matter, of a certain size. Now, the regulation requires that employers look at what the air quality index for each day, but not even just each day, but also there's no specific recommendation for how often to check it, but certainly throughout the day to make sure that when it hits 150 or more, they need to have those masks available, those respirator masks available for employees to use. The regulation also requires that employers look at other measures that they may be able to take in order to reduce the impact of inhaling wildfire smoke. That could include changing somebody's duties for that day. It could include moving certain work to indoors if it's available, staggering meals, lunch breaks, shortening the time that employees are working, a variety of other measures that will lessen the impact. So that's the regulation right now as it is. It's, like I said, it's in effect through the end of January of 2021 with the possibility that it'll be either extended or it'll be converted to a permanent regulation.
So is that going well? Are all the needs being met? What else needs to be done to protect these vulnerable farm workers who are so important to the food that we pretty much all enjoy?
So right now the regulation is relatively new. Reports that we've heard from the field are that very few farm workers are receiving the N95 masks when they're required to receive them from the employer. The other tricky thing about the regulation is that the employer has to provide the masks, but it's not mandatory for employees to wear them during certain AQI. And so certainly enforcement is a huge problem for us because there's still a lot of farm workers that either don't know about the law or have not been provided that equipment.
That is all the time we have for today. Estella, thank you so much for coming on the show. That's terrific information that everybody should know.
Thank you.
And thanks to everyone for joining us. This has been Five on the Front Line. I'm Mark Ames. We'll see you next week.